Hello and welcome to our next installment of our multiplayer framework plugin. In the previous episode we did the C++. We're going to crack straight into implementing the UI based on those C++ classes that we created for the hosting interface. Let's go to our plugin, UI, created two UI folders. That wasn't intended, doesn't matter. So in here we're going to have the same structure. I'm going to create a folder for multiplier. So the button's more generic UI, and then this is the multiplier widgets. So the first one I'm going to create, it'll be the same order as what we created them in C++. So the first one I'm going to create is the button game widget. And that's obviously going to hear it from our button game widget. We'll call it W widget game button widget. So for our button settings, we're going to make a bigger displays type of a button. So I'll just set this to desired, and then we'll start on here. So I'll start with a vertical box, and this is just going to be a whole bunch of widget formatting here, so brace yourself. Button border, let's make some more room here. Common border, and this will be our button border. So that was a named thing for our button, the base class. That's what the texture will be applied to. And put another vertical box under that. And then size box. This will be our first text block. So we need a button text. This will be it was called button text block. Yeah. Again in our base class. And then I'm going to get another size box into this vertical box. So this will be, just to name these, we don't get too lost, this will be the title size box. This one will be the description. And then in the description we're going to create another border. So we'll do common border. Call it description border. And then another vertical box. And then here we'll have the two other text fields. So be, we called it game name, I think. Or was it just name? I can find out. It was just name. And description. Come back up to the top. We want to just put in some default stuff. So make this font, game title. Game. It's going to be the game map. That's what we've got it as in the settings. Assign a UI. Just do default, it's fine. And then the style, we want to set that to that clear, just to get rid of all the background. Our vertical box is fully stretched, no padding. Our border box, we want to put that to fill and stretched across and take out this padding. And we need to go down to where the material instance is being applied and set that to box 5. Starting to look like a button now. Next vertical box, take off the padding again, stretched fully across, that's all we need there. Now size box, we're going to add 16 to the padding. We're going to center it and top align it. In the height override, it's going to change that to 48. On our text field, we're going to add some padding of 24 and 0. And then we'll center it vertically and we'll assign a font or a style. It's got to be a header, so I'll make it, well, not H1. Make it, we can adjust them. And I'll put that to uppercase, oops, and set a text. Actually, one thing I'm going to do, because I just realized I want a texture on this. So I'm going to change the material to the border texture. So automatically, and that is a default texture, which I'm going to change the default to my texture. sort itself out, loads properly. Where were we up to? Up to text block, so that's done. So we're on to the next size box. So this size box, we want to no padding, stretched fully. It's fine. We do want to push it down to the bottom. So what we'll do is we'll grab a spacer. So spacers are under primitives, and we'll put a spacer between the two size boxes, and we'll just set the spacer to fill. So push everything to the very bottom that it can go. We don't actually need any size on it. So now our border, going to add some padding, 16 by 8, just to keep it off the edge of the button. We're actually going to apply a material again to this, so we're going to use my UI material again, and I'm just going to assign it to that default. So this will give it a draw as box. 5, we'll just give the bottom description and title a background separate to the image, and you could make this transparent probably a bit as well. So yeah, tint, I think. So we could do it like that, maybe a little bit more, go 7.5. And then for our vertical box, we'll just bump that padding up a bit. And then for our text blocks, we just want to assign, we might make some more styles. So let's duplicate this twice more. So we've got a 5, a 6, Control D to duplicate. And then in here, we'll just make this 18, 64 can stay the same, that's fine. And then in the H6, we'll bring it down to 14, and we'll lower this to 32. So to give us some more font variations, assign for the header 1, we'll assign the 5, and then for the text block, bottom one, I'll assign 6. Actually, that's just going to be description, so we might actually make a style that is just for like normal text. So we'll just duplicate this. Instead of H7, we'll just call it style text normal, and we'll make it 10, 24, regular, yep, that's all good. And then this here is normal, so we for that. And then we'll just fill out some defaults here, so this will be the game description. And that's fine, all that settings there. We will center it, don't want to make it uppercase or anything. But then for some default text, and this will be the game name, and we'll center it and make it upper. And we should be able to save that without any errors, and that is our button. So these fields will update from our game data for each one. We'll go on to the next one. I'm going to fix this up, so it's going to bug me. I'm going to create a menu here where it was meant to be, and the multiplier in here. And I'm going to move that into there, and the button into the menu. And get rid of that duplicate UI folder. Right, so now the next one we want to create is the game display. So it's slightly different to the button. Let's go. Let's game display. So not the list, just the display. And we'll call it the game display. And this is pretty simple, just needs these. So we're going to put in horizontal box. And then we're going to get our game widget, our game button that we just created. So the game button widget, chuck that in there. Set this to desired. And then we're going to add spacer. So this is just so they stack together a bit better. Where is the spacer? I'm going to add one here, duplicate it, actually set it first. I'm just going to put 8. Just realize that's on the side. It's meant to be, because I'm doing a vertical list, you want them on the top and bottom. So I'm going to set that to 1 and this to 8. And then I'm going to swap this for a vertical box. Place vertical. There we go, that's what I wanted. So add another one for the bottom. And then when we add two together in the vertical box, they won't sit on top of each other. And this needs just to be called game button widget, just so it links up to our C++. And that's it for that. Now we can create the list. So game, sgame, game display list widget. Got the word widget on the end, so I'm just going to add that to the name of it. So in here, we want a scroll box. I'm going to search. I don't remember where it is. And then we want that vertical box that we added that is going to be the container. So come down here. And then in this vertical box, I'm just going to put in some example ones. It gets cleared anyway. We're going to go to game display. We'll just put a bunch of them in. So this is what will get created for every game data we have. To desired. Just come up to that scroll box and we'll reduce the width of the scroll a bit. Oops. And then we just want to set the scroll when focus changes to animated scroll. The scroll bar padding, that's 0. So that'll be our list there now. Oh, the vertical box is going to be called game list, that's right. So it links to our C++. That is that done. So we want to create our actual menu now for the hosting. So we're going to look for we called it menu as the prefix. Host session widget. And this is going to be w menu host widget. This one's a rather large one. So we'll start with an overlay. And I'm going to put a background blur on that. And a border. So I'll go to common border. This will be our whole entire menu border. I might just assign these as we go, otherwise it's going to be crazy at the end. So for the background blur, I want that full and just whatever strength you want. And then our menu border, again, stretch to everything. We'll put some padding to keep it off the edge of the screen. Padding to 32 on the content. And then we're going to put a vertical box in here. That's taken that 32 padding. That's all we need for that. We're going to do another border. So this will be the inner border. Come on. So I'll call this inner border. And then we want that to fill. It's all good. Put this to 32 as well. And then we're actually going to put a material on this one. So put in our UI material. Just make this the generic. Oh no, sorry, that's the actual material, not the material instance. Default, yep. We make this box 5. That's our page background there done. So we want another vertical box inside that. And we need to do our title, so I'm going to put that into a scale box. And then we just need a text. This is the title of the page, so we just do common text. Sorry, for the scale box, we'll do this to 32, and I'll just take off the bottom. Don't want any padding on the bottom. And then we're going to do scale to fit X. And not both, only down only. So it'll fill the height basically. So our title is going to be host session new game. Let's go new game. I think what I used in the last one. we'll set this to, is H1 going to be huge? We'll go H1, see how it works out. Looks too big to be honest, but let's go H2. The next part is our net mode option. So we're going to have that at the top. So we're going to add another border for that in the vertical box. And that'll be our net mode border, so we don't get lost. And in there we'll have another vertical box. Sorry, I didn't configure the border. In there we'll do the same again. We'll have 32 padding and nothing on the bottom. We'll center it and stretch the height, that's fine. That can all stay as default. Can take that out. And then we might actually put a material on that as well, and so it sort of is just bordered. I don't think I've created just a border material from my thing actually. I'll just do that quickly. Come into material. I'll do it from this one. Create material instance. Border only. And in here, turn all these on. No, not spinner. Oh, whatever. That's fine. Use texture, no. Use fill, no. So it's just a border. And then we'll assign that to our border. And draw it as box. And that'll sort itself out once we start filling this out. So on the vertical box, can just leave that as default. And then we need to add the common text for our title of the box. And I just want to put some padding on the top of it. 16. And we'll set the style of the font. 5. Maybe a bit bigger. 4. Yeah, that looks good. Center to upper. The border around it we'll fix that in a sec. So now we've got to do the text for what the setting is actually at and a button for the change. So I'm going to put that in a horizontal box in that vertical box. And go back up here. Everything's fine. To be centered. That's all good. And in there we'll have a size box. And we're going to have the text field, which is actually going to link to our C++ for the setting. So the common text. And then we're going to need a button. So our button base. Like so. So for our size box, put a padding 16, center everything, and then we're going to put a min desired width of 364. So that puts our box out correctly, and then text. I'll just do this because it's a variable. I'm just going to put the squigglies on it, so it's the net mode. The text will be updated when it initializes anyway. I'm going to create a new style for this because I want it to be a different color kind of thing because it's a setting, but we'll change it to upper and centered. So let's create the style. Back to styles. I'm going to duplicate H5 and create this to text setting. And I just want to make the color just a slightly bluish darker color like that. Let's get exact, huh? There you go, exact color. And we'll assign that. It's probably a bit small, maybe. 24, and 96. There we go, that's that color. The button is huge. I'll have to change the default font. Just warning you, you can play with the settings forever and ever, so watch out for that loop. For our button, we need to name the button because it's bound in C++, and it was called change net mode button. Pretty sure that's what it's called. And we're just going to fix the size up a bit. It's not going to adjust because we've made the text too big in the button, I think. So I'm going to go change that, but I'm going to change this to change. Yep, that's all good. Ooh, yeah, that's all right. Yeah, I just want to save it while I go do this. So we're going back to our button. Menu. What have we got on here? We have H3. So I'm going to change that to 4. Okay, looks a bit more respectable, maybe. I think it's just the fonts, not the greatest. Anyway, actually what we'll do is I might make, so the button doesn't look the same as the background here, we'll create another instance of our border here. So this one, and I'm just going to call this not default but dark. And turn these on. Use fill and fill color. I'm going to make this almost black. That looks good. In our button, assign the dark. There it is. And that should update when we can build, maybe. Or did I? Yeah, I think that'll update when we build without errors, that is. Alright, so that's the net mode sorted. So now we're on to the next part. So we're going to want another vertical box. Let's get rid of this. And panel. Vertical box. So we need to place this vertical box on our inner border vertical box. So it's in here. So this is sort of going to be the container for the bottom half of the screen. First thing we want is, well, we need to fill that. And then in there we're going to want another scale box, because this will be this is where I had that text for the title of whatever game data we've selected, or the game we've selected. So we'll go to text block. And that scale, we'll set the padding to 16, but we'll set the bottom to a bit more padded so it keeps off the whatever's coming underneath. And again, we'll scale X to down only. And then the text will center to upper, and we'll just put some default text in there. So this is also going to be set from C++, so it's a variable, so it'll be the selected game name. And we can give that a style. Yep, that'll do. Now we want a horizontal box because we're going to have our list on the left and our settings on the right. So horizontal box. This is definitely up to your discretion, by the way. This is just the layout I did for the demo. You can do this any way you want. This needs to go onto the vertical box here. And again, this will be fill. And this is where we need to put our game list in. Find that. What is it? Game display list widget. That's where that's going to go. And this needs to be called game list. We're just going to put padding to the right, so we're not on the, so give a bit of padding off whatever's over here. And we'll align that to the left. Right, that's that. And then we want a vertical box again for our next one, so for this section. And that's going to be fill again. I'm just going to give that an all over padding of 16. Because we've only got two, we're not going to go off the screen, but just in case we had 20 settings or whatever and the resolutions change or whatever, we'll put in a scroll box. And for the scroll box again, I'll just do a fill of 2032 by 0, so it's just left and right. And we're going to change it to fill, and it's vertical. Yep, it's all down a little bit, just so it's the same as the other one. And change that to animated scroll, which I might put a bit of padding top there. So in the scroll box, we're just going to have, so now we're doing each entry to the scroll box, so I'm going to put them in a border. So common border. And I'll do the same as what I did for this, so it will just be the empty border one, so the border only. And I set that needs to be fill. It'll fill the scroll box, so if there's multiple in there, it won't fill the whole thing, but yeah. We'll just center the content. I think that's it there, that's right. And now we want a wrap box. So if we, like we've got a thin display or something, it'll wrap down. In the wrap box, we'll just do a padding of 8. Yeah, that's all good. Centered content, that should be fine. And then in here, we're going to have 3 things. So we'll have the title of the setting, we'll have the setting itself, and the button. So we're going to need 2 text blocks and a button. So we can just duplicate our button up here, net mode. Change that to change setting 1 button. And with these, this will just be a title, so it doesn't really matter what that is. We'll change the text, so it'll be what is it? Game setting 1. Spaces. Left align that one. Give it some padding. Centered. And then we'll add a style, so it's a sort of a title. H4 looks good. I might just add a semicolon on the end. So, and then for the next one, it's a actual setting. I'll add the same padding again. I'm going to center that one, and we'll change this so we know it's a variable to setting 1. And we'll set the style to setting. And for our button, don't think we need to change anything because we just copied it. Actually, we'll right align it. So actually, no, all these should be center aligned. So when they drop down, they'll all be centered. So let's go back to that one, change it all to centered. And I don't know if this will show me. We'll look at it later. So now if that gets squished, they'll drop down to the next line. It should fit in. And then if it doesn't fit in and there's multiple settings, it should have a scroll. Right, so I'm just going to rename this border box here to setting box 1. And then if we duplicate that, so this is 2. Then we don't have to change a whole bunch of crap. Oh, actually, sorry, I didn't set the variable name here to change setting 1. No, game setting 1 text. And this will be game setting 2 text. And this will be 2 button. Like so. Game setting 2. So that is our game settings done. So if we bring that up, now we want to put our buttons down the bottom. So what we're going to do is put a horizontal box at the bottom outside the inner, or is it this inner box? So go to horizontal. So we want it to be at the bottom. Going to put padding 32.8 for the height. And then in the horizontal box, we're just going to put our 2 buttons. So let's go grab a button. I have 2 buttons. And I want them to be one at either end, so I'm going to grab a spacer. It's under primitive. Put it in the middle. And split the fill. And then we just need to set up our buttons. So this button was the back button. What was the name of that? Was it just back button? Back button. And this one will be the launch button. And cheesing me, it's too big. Oh, is it too? Probably want to. What? Anyway, I don't want to get too caught up in tweak and stuff. We'll just check we can build, and we've missed a few names of stuff, so, well, I have. You might have been smarter. So that's the title text. So that needs to be named. No, that's the actual title. We want this one. This has to be selected in title text. And the net mode text, what's the name of that? Network mode text. That's the same. I think it's just those 2. Yeah. Okay, that's it. So I think I'll halt the video here, and we'll continue with the join session part of the tutorial in the next video. Thanks for watching. If you've got any questions, hit us up in Discord, and the project files will be available on Patreon after the next video.